As nice as it is to be able to once again call our team Stanley Cup champions, and just as surprising as it is, the rebuild essentially continues. Now it's not the traditional rebuild, but it's essentially the retooling, I suppose is probably the better word for it. But something interesting I noticed here in the player awards as we go down through these. Unfortunately, Zach Werenski has taken away the Norris Trophy. The Calder actually went to Jenner in Nashville, so that explains something. But the Conn Smythe Trophy, last year, it went to Danton Heinen, but it actually went to Steven Stamkos. And now this year, obviously, Drake Caggiula is the one who raised it during the Cup celebration, but it actually went to Danton Heinen. So that's very interesting. But as you can see now, Demko, Stamkos, and Danton Heinen are the Conn Smythe Trophy winners over the last 3 years. Adam Warner and Skinner in Columbus had one hell of a year. And again, it's unreal. It's simply unreal. And the shitty thing is, I've been alluding towards it in the past few episodes, having someone, or, just having people be like, oh, it's probably scripted, which, to be honest, is a fair criticism, because who the hell, it's like, if I were watching somebody else's channel and they won 3 cups in a row, I would also be quite suspicious. But, shit happens. Shit happens, man. And as you can see, unfortunately, we have not secured the first overall pick for the 3rd year in a row, but we do have the 2nd overall pick. Now, this isn't going to help my case. The Arizona Coyotes took Malone, an elite-level defenseman, which is nice. I saw a goalie inside the top 5, which is normally a pretty good sign. I didn't have him scouted in the slightest, so we took him, and he's franchise level. Now, I only took him because of Demko's struggles. Otherwise, I would have taken somebody else. There's a guy named Prost, there's a guy named Hendry I was looking at. But my God, guys, I hate me. I hate EA for this. But needless to say, I'll take a franchise-level goalie right about now after Demko's struggles. Now, our next pick was not too far away. Of course, we drafted Mahalik at number 2. Number 3 goes Prost to St. Louis. LA goes off the board a bit with Hickey, so that allows us to pick up Hendry, who was elite potential. So once again, can it be surprising that we're getting amazing picks when they're, top 5 picks or number 1 overall picks? Not really, but I'm just so used to us getting screwed over in a way, having scouted out people, because to be honest, you guys probably saw it throughout the Cup run. I'm only scouting these areas bare minimum just to get an idea, if it's high potential, and I know someone's like top 9, I avoid them and I go for the guys with yellow potential in the top 6. But I'm glad this is working out for us. 2 picks inside the top 5. We get an elite forward and a franchise-level defenseman as Montreal picks Gerby. Good for them. So guys, after this Hendry pick, I'm just going to show you what happened in the rest of the first round. Of course, we had a lot of picks. I'm going to do that for the sake of time, and also because I can't handle this shit. This shit's ridiculous. As you can see, some good players drafted. We get to our pick, 14th overall. We take a Swedish defenseman, Par Forsström, who ends up being top 4. Hopefully he stays that way. Obviously, last year we drafted a defenseman who was top 4. He dropped to top 6. Things continue to go well for teams, top 6, starter potential guys. And then you get to our next pick, Korolev, elite potential at 22nd overall. It gets better, because then we go down the line to 27th overall, and we take Koivisto, an elite goalie. You get to 29th overall, we get Mogilny, a top 4 defenseman, and then you get to 30th overall, and we get a low elite potential defender in Rose Hill. I give up. I don't know what snapped with this game, what changed. I swear to God, I didn't buy a hut pack. Maybe someone bought a 125k hut pack and EA thought it was me that did it, and now they're giving me all the luck. But this is ridiculous. Let's go ahead now, and we'll skip to the end of the draft. So overall, another successful draft for this franchise. Again, I don't know what the hell's going on lately, but I certainly like it, and I wish, EA, that you would allow it to continue. Although the question is now whether or not these players will drop in potential like we've seen other players do in the past. So we've hit the re-sign phase, and the question is now just how many big players do we have that need to be re-signed. Of course, last year the retooling and the decisions we made ended up working out very well. But taking a look here, Nyquist needs a contract. We have Mahalik. We also have Koivisto. So guys like Klingberg and Martin will be cycled out, but we are certainly re-signing Nyquist here. He's not even looking for that much. He's not, which is hilarious. I could lock him up to a pretty ridiculous deal, but in fairness, we won't. We'll just get him for 3 years because he could actually be the backup. Actually, geez, you know what? He really could be the backup here for a considerable amount of time unless Bergeron or Koivisto come up as well. All right, so we'll give him 2 years. We're not going to keep him for that long, but we'll definitely keep Nyquist for a bit here. It could be a missed opportunity to re-sign him for a really low money amount for a long amount of time. But now with Mahalik, Bergeron, and Koivisto, which is unreal, by the way, things are looking good. Particularly, too, he may even be the starter if Demko struggles. Chychrun needs a new contract, so that is obviously priority number one. We only have $15 million in space, but first off, McCabe and Tanev, thank you for the trophy. You're welcome for the rings, but you have to go as originally planned. There is no dispute that those two had to go. Chychrun, we are going to attempt to re-sign outright. We're not even going to attempt to do anything screwy. I'm just going to try. Do I want to try the 0.85 trick? I'm going to go 6.9. Why not? Let's see if he accepts 6.9. Gilroy needs a new deal. So does Peters. I don't know if I want to do that because, again, I could re-sign them and then trade them and get into some morale issues for doing that. Let's take a look at who else needs to be re-signed before we do anything. Yoensu, Carlson, Gallant, Safronov, a lot of guys. Hendry is a fucking 85, the 5th overall pick. Are you serious? Oh my god, the 5th overall pick by default is an 85 overall. How did he fall to number 5? How? Oh my god. Then we got, alright, so as far as big name guys, we have a ton of RFAs, but it looks like we'll be able to offer Chychrun a deal outright, and then just hit a bunch of guys with the RFA tag, and then probably cycle them out for picks. Again, question is, do I want to do that? Like, I don't think I could get that much for... Alright, you know what? We have the offer into Chychrun. I'm going to let Gilroy go outright. I really don't think we'd get that much for him anyway, so fuck it. Let's just get rid of them so we don't have to worry about trading them away. Matainen needs a new deal. He's top 6, only 79. I'm going to let him go too. He's top 6. He's only a 79 now. He's not going to get any better, particularly with some of the guys we have in here now. Mogilny, Rosehill, Oban, who we drafted that you guys didn't see. Gannon's a guy. I could have sworn he was top 6. Now all of a sudden he's top 4. We have Letowski, who will be traded. Doherty might be traded. King. So we got a couple of guys in here who are definitely going to need contracts. I'm not even going to bother screwing around with them. And I just noticed Forsstrom by default is an 81 overall and very well could make the roster outright next year. Right wings, we need Yoensu, Carlson, Gallant, and Safronov all need to be re-signed. How much is Jesus? Yoensu is looking for a lot of money. All right, how much is Carlson looking for? Carlson, not as much. All right, you know, okay, let's get Yoensu and Carlson on offer sheets, and then we'll take it from there. We will look to re-sign Gallant because we can still get him for entry-level deal money, hopefully. And then Safronov will also look to re-sign. He's still willing to accept a two-way deal. No, it's not going to matter anyway, though. Shit. Alright, so he's willing to take a two-way. We'll give him the contract he wants just to make it easy. He is technically a fourth-line guy now. Do we have any guys we need to resign from here? We do not, so that's good. Left wings, we will obviously look to sign Hendry to his entry-level deal. That is absolutely insane. Nobody else is required. And then centers, Shanahan, Eriksson, and Hedstrom are all UFAs. I am so tempted to let Shanahan go, but we will look to resign him only because we can resign him for cheap. So that's good. We could also resign him for a ridiculous amount. We'll give him 3 years at that money. He's probably somebody who's going to be immediately traded just because of his age. we will offer Eriksson and Hedstrom what I believe to be their entry-level deals. So we're going to have a little bit of trouble getting Joensuu back and Carlson, but I think we can pull this off. I think we can pull this off. Gallant, Hendry, Nyquist, Chychrun, Safronov, Eriksson, Hedstrom, and Shanahan are all back, so I'm pretty sure that just leaves our two right wingers, and we do have $9 million to spend. Actually, really quick, let's look. If we look at RFAs for all skaters, I do believe it is just these two now that are unsigned. So Joensuu, how cheap can we get you for? 1 year deal works perfect, and we'll offer him $6 million straight up. That'll make it a lot easier to trade him away, and to also afford Carlson here. He's going to be looking for about $4 million unless I offer him a 1 year deal as well, which is exactly what we're going to do. So again, we're going to be in a very similar situation when it comes to the cap and having to cycle people out. It's going to be a very different team this year, but this is the problem we wanted to have by repeatedly cycling in these these first round picks, these number 1 overall picks. It's just a constant flow. Guys like these, they're going to come and go throughout this lineup. We have everybody re-signed though. Let's move on to free agency. So let's, before we do anything else, I should probably take a look at how much cap we have left. $3 million, not much. And actually, I need to look at the roster spaces too, just in case there are some prospects that we wanted to potentially pick up. So we have the space. We just do not have the salary cap. But let's take a look at the free agents this year. The number 1 guy is Roman Josi, now 33. Ty Berry, so go figure. 90 overall defenseman finally hits the market. But aside from that, players that really can't help us out too much. Or, I should say, at the very least, are not affordable. Obviously, guys like Mikheyev and Tanev were helpful. I can't imagine guys like Muzzin, Berry, Josi, and even Eric Johnson couldn't be helpful. We just can't afford them. So this trade hurts. It really hurts to make because Jake Virtanen is obviously one of our original prospects. He is a solid player at an 84 overall. Obviously, we had that one moment where he jumped to an 86, and everything looked really promising. He's still on a great contract for us, but we have prospects coming in who could probably do better. He's proven to be injury prone, but on the other hand, he's proven to score some big time goals in the playoffs. But we get rid of him, Raymond Martins, who we no longer have a use for because of our new goalie prospects, and Latowski, who we just drafted, and who was a swing and a miss for us, to Detroit for their 2nd and 3rd round pick this year. Detroit, obviously, Virtanen will help, and they desperately needed the goalie, as before Martins got there, they had a 76 and a 62 overall. So it's a good trade for both teams, and we also free up some cap space to be able to offer a couple of free agents some contracts. So moving forward, we have sent out 3 offers, 1 forward and 2 defensemen. But, alright, I don't know what this Pro Scout's complaining about. I didn't sign and dump anybody at the moment, so I don't know what kind of implications that's going to have. I did that in the last offseason, but not this offseason, so I don't know what that's got to do with anything. Let's advance day here again and see if these guys sign. Very interesting that popped up now of all times, but as we're advancing days here, nobody has gotten back to me yet, which really makes me wonder what's going on here, EA. Okay, this is just weird now. So have the players I offered contracts to disappeared? I don't get that pop-up. Obviously in the past it would be like, oh, here's the deal with it, but yeah, I guess all 3 guys we sent an offer to are now gone, and who knows what kind of implications this is going to have. So I guess we'll just go to the start of the next season. And now, guys, is where the really hard decisions come in. I need to show you the situation we are in. It's a great situation to be in, but bottom line is longtime members of this team are going to be traded. Here is our current lineup. As you see, we have 21 skaters. That needs to be reduced. We have Stamkos at a 93. DeRocher is up to an 89. Joensuu is an 88. Hendry, who we just drafted 5th overall, is a fucking 87. Drouin, Kajula, Heinen, Schneider's an 86. Carlson's an 86. Bolt's an 85. Gallant is an 84. Down in the system, we have Safronov and we have Shanahan. Now, granted, Shanahan's going to be traded. Bottom line is, we have to let some guys go, and I'm, in some cases, choosing to go with the youth rather than the veteran guys who have already established themselves. It's a risky play, but it's a cheaper play. It frees up some cap space for the upcoming off-season. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look quickly at who we need to look at re-signing in the next year. Of course, we don't have that much cap space to begin with. But after this year, let's take a look. Just on the roster alone, Heinen, Horvat, McCann, Tryamkin, Castles, Lindholm, Yuensu, and Carlson. I don't even know if there's a goalie situation. Bottom line is, we have to make some of these moves. It's going to suck to see some of these guys go, but that's business. Our first trade, again, it's a player I didn't necessarily want to get rid of. He had a solid season with Bo Horvat, but it's Cole Castles and two defensemen that we just drafted, King and Alban, who both ended up being 7th D potential, to the Toronto Maple Leafs for an AHL player that we can release after this year. Toronto's first round pick this year and their third round pick next year. I am sorry, Cole Castles, you were a loyal servant, but your time in Vancouver is done. Next up, it's goalie Klingberg, who is backup potential to the Florida Panthers for their first, 4th, 5th, and 6th rounder this year. Now, this is also not an easy trade because despite being backup potential, this could be another Adam Werner situation where you see his trade value. It is pretty solid, and Florida could certainly use him. He might even be their backup goalie, but you see the trade values in our other goaltenders, especially now with Mahalik, the franchise level defenseman. I cannot believe we got him number 2 overall, Brian Mahalik. So unbelievable, but a nice situation. As far as the goalies do go, though, Koivisto might not be signed. I think we'll go with Mahalik and Bergeron in the AHL for now. If we end up trading Demko, if he struggles in the season, we go with Nyquist, then Koivisto will be signed to be the backup in Utica. Next up, it's another trade I certainly regret. I mean, it sucks to see guys like Virtanen and McCann go. At the very least, I got a better return for Jared McCann than the frickin' Canucks did in real life. It is Jared McCann to the Sabres for their 1st and 3rd round picks, as well as a defenseman who we can cut at the end of the year. Another trade for a guy who has been here since day one. It is Bo Horvat, along with 2/4 in this year's draft. Of course, we have no use, for the most part, for picks beyond the 3rd round, to the Bruins for their 1st and 3rd this year, and of course a guy we can cut. So for those counting, that is now McCann, that is Horvat, 2 guys, and Jake Virtanen now thinking about it. So definitely the new blood is coming in to this team. Bo Horvat was a loyal soldier for us, but he is now a Boston Bruin. Next up, it's 2 players who looked like they were ready to crack the lineup, but I just don't think I can prioritize them over some of the other players that we have. It's Safronov and Jovanovski, along with a couple of 4th round picks, to Toronto for 2 replacement players, a 2nd and a 3rd. More draft picks coming in, as it's Shanahan. Don't be fooled. Remember, he is 26 years old. The top 6 forward potential really doesn't take effect. Stock, who is low top 9 in Montgomery, who was also low top 9 and unsigned. We send them to Tampa for a 2nd and 3rd round pick. And what should be our last trade here, it is Eriksson and Hedstrom. Now, yes, I understand why I may have been warned about trading people that were recently signed, although it would have made more sense for them to warn me now. Either way, we trade them and Fane, all bottom 6 potential, to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 2nd round pick. So after all of that, before I show you the roster, I want to show you our current draft pick situation. We have 6 first round picks, 7 second round picks, and 7 third round picks, 20 picks total, no picks after the 3rd round in the upcoming draft. 20 actually might be too much and it may crash the draft, although I haven't had that issue in a while, so we might have to trade away some picks before the actual draft. And guys, I think you might like this last trade. Lindholm, unfortunately, is only an 81 overall, and at 7th D potential, he's not going to get much better. So, with all of our newfound cap space after those trades, we made a deal. Our 1st round pick and our 2nd round pick this year So obviously they're going to be a little bit lower in terms of picks. To Detroit, for a certain somebody, it's one season, it's a rental, but it's going to be Troy Stecher. So guys, here it is, the new team in all its glory. The top line starting off is Esa Yoensu, now an 88 overall, designated as a first-line forward. Pretty damn ridiculous passing, a pretty damn good shot, an unreal skating category. He was a 7th-round pick of the Sharks that we signed, I believe, as a free agent. And yeah, he has turned into a monster. He is with Austin Matthews, who is in his last year, so he's pretty much going to be locked into an 89. And of course, Steven Stamkos, still a 93 overall, but he is now 33 years old. He has 4 years left on his deal. He is going to start regressing sooner rather than later, so we really need a right-handed shot to step up and develop into eventually his replacement. The second line, oh my God, Jordan Hendry, 87 overall rookie, of course the 5th overall pick. His center, Laurent Desrochers, the 1st overall pick from last year's draft, now an 89 overall. And their right wing, Robert Karlsson, an 86 overall, also designated now as a second line forward. He is a right-handed shot. Will he develop into a Stamkos level guy? Probably not, but it's not too bad. Now the guys, the veterans we elected to keep. And guys, when you compare McCann, Horvat, and Castles to these three, I think I made the right choice. It's Jonathan Drouin, Danton Heinen, and Drake Caggiula. All lefties, but they're staying in. And of course, if this second line struggles, we know these three can absolutely fill in anywhere they are needed. The fourth line is Jaden Bolt with Rich Gallant and Brendan Schneider. Yes, we have an 86 overall elite potential prospect on the fourth line. Risky, but that's the current situation. Defensively as well, things are looking great. It's Chychrun, only an 88. I don't know if he's ever going to eclipse the 90 overall peak, which is an absolute shame. Erik Karlsson down to an 89. Now keep in mind that a lot of these low morales have to do, or a lot of these low overalls have to do with low morale. But Karlsson is also 33 in the same spot as Stamkos. He has 2 years left on his deal. If we notice that we regress this year, it might be in the next offseason that we offload Stamkos and Karlsson and look to rebuild, shut our window, shut the cup-winning window for now, and attempt to rebuild. Trey Ampkin is still here. Seth Jones is still here. These two were dominant last season. And then on the third pairing, Par Forsstrom, the number 14 overall pick from this draft, medium top four potential, 83 overall. Yet another guy from that last draft who was instantly into our lineup, and he, of course, is with the returning Troy Stecher. Now, we know Stecher kind of dropped off last year compared to what he did the first year we got rid of him, but 41 points is good. He was a minus 30, though. Keep in mind, he was on a very bad Detroit team. I am more than happy to welcome him back. The goaltender, Thatcher Demko, he's on a very short leash, man. Torsten Nyquist is right there. And in the AHL, things are looking amazing. The top line, all elite players under the age of 23. Of course, 22-year-old Wade Savage, the most likely to break into the lineup next year. He's with Esa Howe and Melvin Doyle. Second line, you have Jorgen Backlund, top 6. Jake Sloan and Dmitry Korolev, who we just drafted at elite potential. You have Sheldon York, top 6. Logan Dryden, top 9. And Pat Greentree, top 6. And then the fourth line, Varlamov, Redden, and Vasilevs. I think it's Vasilevs. All top 9. Defensively, it's looking a little bit rocky, and that's obviously the reason why we've had to go out and get rentals now for the past 2 seasons. But we do have 2 top 4 defensemen. Granted, Rosehill is low, but we have William Gannon, who we just drafted, and we also just drafted Rosehill. But Gannon is medium top 4. And from there, it's top 6. Derek Corey, who, of course, when we drafted him was top 4. He was one of the guys who dropped. He is with Korolyuk, and then Gunnarsson with Kondratiev. The goaltending situation's fantastic. Mahalik and Daniel Bergeron. So guys, needless to say, I am tremendously excited for this next season as you get a look at the ratings. Not too bad in Utica, but my God, in Vancouver. Needless to say, and I know it's been 3 in a row, but is it that hard to believe with a 98 overall offense that we're still cup contenders? I really don't think it is. Needless to say, the cup window is not closed, and in the next episode, the climb to the top of the mountain begins again. For 3 straight years. We have dominated this league. Will that run of dominance end in this next season? Will the youth just simply not be able to keep up? Or will the Vancouver Canucks continue simply destroying this league? And I say that not with a lot of confidence after some of the playoff series we've had. But regardless, guys, I don't want to ramble. As always, I thank you so much for watching this episode. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to continue following the series, and I will see you in the next one. It's the 2023-2024 season, and we go for our 4th straight cup.